Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast, Our New Narrative. And today I have a guest, Mark, with you, and I'll let him introduce himself in a second. But before that, let's like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching us. If you're getting anything out of this, definitely like, share, and subscribe. So, my friend Mark, take it away. Who are you? What are you about?
Hello, I am Mark. I was born in the Soviet Union when it was still a country. Now it's all different countries because the communism didn't survive in that environment, which is typical because it doesn't survive anywhere. And I'm here to help my friend Andre to amplify the message that he's carrying toward the community of African Americans and I guess the United States as a whole, of how we should prevent the United States to drop dead into the socialism capitalism society.
All right. So listen up, folks. This is a warning from someone who grew up in the Soviet Union. It doesn't work. Okay. He's here for a reason, right? He didn't come to America for the racism, right? He came for freedom, individual responsibility, and all the good stuff that comes with a free market society. So today, Mark suggested that we talk about a campaign, well, something Kanye West wants to offer America if you vote for him. I'm not here to endorse anybody. You make those decisions for yourself, but here's something you might get if Kanye West becomes a president. So if you don't have any kids yet, I suggest you go get them. But here it is. Kanye's idea to slow abortion. Everybody that has a baby gets $1 million.
So yeah, you see, I woke up today with this news and I thought it's a great idea. It's a great idea in his heart to get people to slow on the abortion and probably to keep more kids around, which is not killing the babies. But I just didn't think that $1 million is appropriate to bring a positive change. So I came to Andre with my idea of turning this formula around a little bit, and instead of giving the $1 million to the irresponsible parents that only for their indecision on the abortion, to maybe keep some kind of a substantial educational fund money, I don't know, 10,000, 20, 50,000, depends on the times that we live in, to the child who is graduating high school and getting into the life and needs to have a profession, say he goes to college or he goes and just study a skill. As he turns 18, I guess we can get his parents to stay around for a little while. So the strings attached to this money would be a united family, and the kids would get some some carrot dangling in front of them for getting good grades in high school. So yeah, maybe that is a cultural change that we could institute and this way improve society.
Yeah, it sounds great. Like $1 million for a baby, okay, that's one thing. But what Mark is driving home is putting value back into families. So instead of doing what was basically started in the 60s, subsidizing single parent households, you would be subsidizing two parent households. And as I've said before on the podcast, if you want to keep a kid out of prison, have a father in the home. The statistics state you're 5 times more likely to end up in prison if your dad is not at home, right? So, hey, Kanye's, good heart, whatever. But I like Mark's idea a lot better. One, if you give $1 million for every baby, then how much is that money going to be worth after everybody gets $1 million? You're going to have hyperinflation and all that stuff. But the incentive to keep people together is better than the incentive to keep people apart. When I say people, I mean the family unit. Whatever your family is made of, that's fine. And you can look at any statistics that shows that typically, if you come from a two-parent household, the kids are better off. I want to go into pivot. I want to pivot off of that into something I came across in a book that was suggested to me, and it's called "The Future Once Happened Here." I don't know if you guys can see that, but basically, you can get a glimpse into the past as it relates to what Mark is talking about for the future. And so a conversation was going on between the African American Teachers Association in New York back in the 60s concerning their, I guess, their view on education and culture in the Black community compared to other views or more traditional views. And I'm just going to read about 3 sentences here. And here we go. Individualism and personal merit, the African American Teachers Association argued, was a myth perpetuated by whites to create Black versions of white middle class or Black Anglo-Saxons. The African American Teachers Association called for an alternative Black value system based on principles of collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, and unity. Giftedness in Black children could be measured by a willingness to challenge authority. So that's it. Now, when I was talking to Mark, I said, hey, Mark, that sounds pretty familiar to me because I know what socialism and Marxism is. And Mark kind of agreed with that. So you can see back in the 60s when the welfare state kind of got kicked off, a lot of Black leaders, including the Teachers Association, politicians, poverty pimps, race hustlers, whatever, they wanted to change whatever Black culture was. Because here it says the African American Teachers Association called for an alternative Black value system, which infers that there was already a value system in place, right? So this new alternative value system, which is, basically culture. What is culture? Agreed upon group of values and ideas. The new alternative is basically collective work, collective responsibility, collective economics, which sounds a lot like where Mark just ran away from. So they tricked us into thinking what Mark just ran away from, well, not just ran away from, but ran away from when he was smaller, him and his parents, is a good idea. And how has that worked out? It's worked so well that when it was pushed in the 60s, 85% of kids were born Black kids were born to two-parent households. Now, as Kanye West wants to give everybody a baby, more than 70% of African American kids are born to one-parent households. And the stat I just gave you about if you want to send a whole bunch of people to prison, basically take the father out of the home. So the welfare state basically incentivized single-parent homes. And if you look at the prison incarceration rates in the pre-60s to today, it's night and day difference. So I think Mark's idea to incentivize a family unit, of two parents could only help because the other way is only hurt. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, in the collectivism, the best method that works is a collective punishment and not collective success.
Right.
So yeah, if we want to move in that direction, and you see the angry mob behind my back, that's what's gonna be, with the advance of the socialism here in this country. We can see it on TV just as much. So yeah, we better be prepared for that, or we need to rethink our strategy.
Yeah, and this myth that they were talking about, individual and personal merit, the African American Teachers Association argued, was a myth. Individualism and personal merit are like key pillars of basically a free society, right? And it's just saying that's a myth. Well, what would Madam C.J. Walker say about that, right? She was the first self-made woman millionaire who happened to be Black, right? So I don't think she thought it was a myth. So all of a sudden in the 60s, all these things that worked for people like Booker T. Washington, Frederick Douglass, and others, I'm just saying names that people know. You've heard about them in Black History Month. They're not the only ones, but maybe your parents are capitalists, right? Maybe your parents believe in individualism and personal merit. I'm pretty sure your parents aren't myths. They're not living in a fantasy world, right? So certain things that make you successful in this free society are not necessarily white. They're just, attributes that help you become successful in a free market society. You can go to China, well, not China, bad example. You can go to Japan, right? And they implement these ideas and they became a very prosperous society, right? These ideas are not just white ideas, evidenced by Russia. They're full of white people. They're full of white people. It's not a whole bunch of Black Panthers in Russia, right? So, or if they were just a white idea, how come Polish people didn't come up with them? Not to pick on Polish people, or Slavic people, how come they didn't come up with the Bill of Rights or something like that? It's ideas, right? And yeah, Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking how there are some things like this that are just universally make sense, and it's across the globe. You travel to Africa, you travel to Asia. Just recently, my experience in Singapore, and next to the Singapore, there are poor countries of Indonesia and Malaysia, and I'm like, how you guys mismanage your resources to that extent, where here is Singapore and it's prosperous. And people from Europe are coming in and working. You see many Europeans on the street. So yeah, it's choice. Everything is a choice. You want to be poor, you make poor choices.
There you go. I mean, hey, stop blaming it on systematic racism and just blame it on the alcohol. Your choices matter. And I think we're going to stop it here. And if you're still with us, definitely like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay safe out there. We'll be back soon.
Bye, guys.